Listen, I gotta tell you about this bad interview that I had. So you all know that I am unemployed. I was laid off on July 9th. My last day was July 25th. Immediately I was applying. I applied to a lot of different jobs, but I got some good looks. Now, let's say out of my 100 applications, I've definitely had more ghosts than interviews, but all you need is one yes, right? So I do an interview with a recruiter. The recruiter screenings that I've had, sometimes if the recruiter is doing a general requisition, it's still like applying into a void. But sometimes I will talk to someone that actually works at that company and knows that role. And those recruiting interviews are really good because I feel like if I can get past those, I know that I'm going to get on the other end of someone else, right? Someone that can actually hire me, a hiring manager or a decision maker. So I had a really good recruiter screening. I was traveling back from Kentucky. My last day hadn't even come up yet for the job. So I was maybe July 15th. And the recruiter screening went so well. She was like, "You're just going to fit in so well with this team. I can't wait for you to meet the rest of the team." And she schedules immediately for the second interview. And this interview is with the director of project management there. Did they have a PMO? Not yet. And then one of the actual PMs. And so great. I did a great job with the recruiter. But now going into this next round of interviews is where I went wrong. I'm there early, right? I'm dressed nice. I have on a nice dress. I'm dressed professionally, and I'm there early. And then the director gets on early as well, and we're waiting for the other teammates. So me and him exchange maybe just some pleasantries. When she joins the call, he starts introducing himself, and then she introduces herself. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me introduce myself and my background. Mistake, you understand? Because what I should have done was wait until they told me about the role so that when I introduced myself and talked about my background, I would highlight the things that they need for this role. So now I promise you, the rest of the interview was on such unsure footing, where I kind of leaned into my technical background. I leaned into my project management background. And I don't know what they were looking for because the director would ask me questions. Well, can you tell me more about this? But his questions were more like, it seemed like he just didn't understand what I did or how I could fit in. And I was giving examples, but to be clear, I didn't know what I could do to fit in or how my background could fit in that role, and they never described it anymore. I had the general description, right? They're looking for a project manager, a technical project manager, which I've done several times, right? But they were looking for someone to work with this design company for their healthcare venture that they have. So they had bought a piece of CVS Healthcare. I don't know what they were doing for them. I did do my research, and it looks like they built an Echo Dot for them. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so you need someone to coordinate between the teams, right? You need someone to be facing CVS or the healthcare part. You need someone to face internally, and you need someone to coordinate. I was making that up. So I thought I was doing really good in my interview. Even at the end of my interview, I asked the right questions. But two things that I didn't do. One thing that went right, the young lady that was on the call, she was like, "Oh, you just really passed the vibe check. You really passed the vibe check." So I'm thinking, oh my God, I aced this, John. But one thing that I normally do at the end of every interview is ask this one question. The question is posed like this. When I hire Ebony, I can't wait to work with Ebony, right? But I wish I knew this about her. I wish she had told me more about this. I wish she had talked more about her experience with this. So my question to them is there any other question that I can answer for you? Because I know that I want to work. I know that I want to work here. Or I know that, I can't wait to be a part of your team. And if you were to hire me as a part of your team, dang, how do I want to say it? I want to say it more like, if you were to hire Ebony, right? If you were to hire me and I start on your team, what would you have liked me to talk about more in this conversation? Damn, am I messing this up? I might be. I gotta think about it a little bit more about how I say it, but I say it differently every time, and it always gives me either two answers. So let me say it one more time. How do you, right. So this is the time. Let's imagine it's the end of the interview and they ask you, do you have any more questions for us? And I've asked them, what does success look like? I've asked them, what does success look like? I've asked them, what does the first 30 days look like? And then I asked them, is there anything else that you wanted to ask me? Like, oh, I really love Ebony. I really would love to work with her. I wish she had talked more about this experience. I wish I had asked more questions about this, or I wish she had told me more about her doing these skills, or her, experience doing this. And usually what I hear back is, oh no, you've answered all of our questions, right? Or, I'm so, I think that you've answered every question that we had. Or they'll say, oh, I do have more questions for you. And they'll say, can you tell me more about your experience with, this interface in particular, or, working with this team. Or they'll say, no, we don't have anything. And so let me say, I didn't even get a chance to ask them that. So now I'm thinking, okay, I did a good job, but as soon as I don't hear back that same week from them, and they didn't tell me that they had any other interviews, right? That was a final interview. They didn't say, we want you to meet with these other teammates or anything like that. So I'm kind of like in limbo. Nothing comes out. It doesn't come out. And that's okay, right? It comes back at least 3 weeks later, or maybe 4. It was either 3 or 4 weeks later, and they were like, we moved on with a different candidate. The person that they moved on with, they don't talk about them, but it was a personal email to me. It wasn't like a canned response or anything like that. It was more like, we've moved on with a different candidate. We really did love your experience and your background. We did love talking to you. And so all I did was write back and say, I'm so happy that you found someone, I hope you have a great rest of your year or whatever, And she said, yes, thank you so much. And don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn. Easy peasy.